our Student Success Center, Center for Wellness, has also been a mainstay. She's coming on campus several days a week. She helps with curbside delivery, distribution of tablets, devices that students need. So we'll build on that. Obviously, as we move from purple to red, we'll take a look at what options we'll have in the way of having additional staffing in place. That'll all be done through our shared governance process. We'll have plenty of conversations about it. We will do whatever it takes to support students as they come on campus. I did want to point out Nicole's point about appointment only. I think that's a really good model, whether it's tutoring or some other service a student may need, to put some controls in place to ensure that safety is always considered. That's what we'll always have first and foremost in our mind. So that's from the student services perspective, Dr. Perez, where we're at.
I appreciate it, Larry. Really appreciate that. And then I'm going to ask Dr. Romali, our interim VP of Administrative Services, to talk about, once we start coming at 25% capacity or 50% capacity physically, what precautions, what planning are we doing with regard to our facilities?
Yes, thank you. Alejandro, you can put up the list that shows the bullet points of what we're doing. Hi, everybody. It's good to see you all. Welcome. We're so excited to have you back on campus. We can't wait to be back full time. We do have essential personnel that are there every day keeping the campus clean for you. We're super busy, so we want to give them a big shout out. Local 99, SEIU, 1721A, everyone's doing really hard work. So far, what we've done to be ready for you is we've replaced almost all of the air filters district-wide. That was at the recommendation of Vilma Bernal and the Work Environment Committee. We have increased ventilation in certain areas. In the Culinary Arts Building, we've cleaned out all of your grease traps. We're also in the process of quoting out UV disinfection systems and are quoting out the main buildings on campus, and then we'll be quoting out the rest of the buildings to provide a backup disinfection system. There is a study out of Harvard on the bottom that you can reference that talks to the safety there. We also bought all new Clorox 360 disinfection machines. We use those daily. We have 5 new carpet cleaning machines. Prior to your arrival, all the carpets will be cleaned. The trees will be trimmed. We do have plexiglass barriers for every single office, including your individual offices that will be placed in your office and in all of the main areas where the public will see you. We also are well stocked in PPE and will be able to provide you with that upon your request. We've got over 100 touchless hand sanitizing dispensers that have been put in. The grounds have been landscaping, lighting has been added, and we've done duct cleaning in many of the buildings. Now, in terms of when you're on campus, there will be three questions that you will need to answer. You'll be required to check in at the sheriff's office, sign in, and you'll be required to answer 3 questions that speak to whether you have COVID symptoms or not. If not, you'll be cleared to go on campus and go to your office. We do have reporting requirements where the district, if you are exposed to the virus, and exposure is defined as standing within 6 feet for someone who is infected with the virus for more than 15 minutes over a 24-hour period. So if you stand 5 minutes, 6 minutes, you're now considered exposure, and we have to report that within 24 hours. So be sure that you check the mass email that went out from Alejandro that speaks to the form that you'll fill out for that. As long as you do that, you're going to be in good shape. And when you're on campus, we're going to stay 6 feet apart and keep your masks on, and you'll be in really good shape. So please know that we've done everything that Vilma and the Work and Environment Committee suggested. And if you have more suggestions, we have taken them all and done them. So please let us know if you have more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Romali. So I'm going to open it up for questions. Alejandro, if you could help me make sure that people who raise their blue hand, we can get to it, or you on the screen, if you wave your hand, I'll be happy to address it. Our first question is from someone's iPad, whoever that is. So go ahead. I just have iPad. I don't know who it is. Okay.
Let me see if I can unmute them. I think. Let's see.
That might be a student. Yes, we have some students who are joining us, which is a good thing. Excellent.
Yes. My name is Joy Wilson. I was the iPad.
Okay.
I just have a question. I was wondering. Well, the decision to go on campus, will that depend on the CDC recommendation or the governor recommendation or the LA Unified School District or all three?
Good question. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you finish?
Yes. And I was wondering if physical activities like dance and PE, would that be possible in the fall, or would they have to put some precautions in place before that, because that's a physical type of contact?
Okay, good questions. Both very good questions. Thank you. Well, first of all, we are following the guidance of Department of Public Health, LA County, which follows the guidance of the state and CDC. So we have all of that, but the main guidance we're getting is from the Department of Public Health of LA County. The tiers that were developed are being developed across the country, but those tiers are being guided in LA County by the Department of Public Health. Now, we've taken their guidance and we've developed a re-engagement grid or plan, and we are going to implement that plan as we move to those stages, to the appropriate tiers. Now, with regard to your question on physical activity, dance, and PE, we are going to have to continue to follow that guidance. I'm going to ask Dr. Alba Lopez, Nicole, where does PE and dance fit in this grid?
So currently in purple, we are not allowing any in-person activities. When we come into red, there will be some activities which may be taking place if they're prioritized, and athletics is one of those. However, the actual activity classes like dance actually wouldn't be considered to be brought back to campus until we were in orange or yellow. And then it would be at 50% of the capacity and 50% of the time of the class. And that might be things that we would do also consider doing outdoors. Of course, we would follow all the other guidelines. And my guess is that we'll be there late fall.
Okay, very good. And the grid does spell out those various disciplines. But again, we are going to have more conversation with the campus on how to roll this out once we reach those stages, those tiers. Vilma Bernal, you have a question.
Yes, thank you. First of all, Dr. Romali, thank you so much for being an active participant in the WEC committee and listening to our concerns. This is the way that we feel faculty are able to voice out our concerns, so that there's so much to this, right? This is a piece that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We recognize one thing and then you're there and then you recognize another need. And so it really does require a teamwork to be able to brainstorm on what the best tools, the best processes, practices are in making sure the safety of our staff, students, and faculty. One of the things that you and I talked about a few months ago when we did the walkthrough of the campus is recognizing that the offices are dusty and dirty, and that there's a lot of, I don't want to say trash because every paper is important to us, but there's just a lot of archaic documentation. There are forms that as a result of COVID, we no longer use them. You know, we're in a whole new, our jobs have changed so much that we don't use a lot of the things that we used to prior to COVID. And some of our offices are full of stuff, right? And so what kind of, I don't know, thinking process do you have in mind? I don't know if we as faculty are going to have the opportunity to go into our offices and say, yay, nay, keep, do not keep, or maybe that's not even safe. I'm not exactly sure, but I know this is a monumental job, by the way. And so I'm bringing it up because I want everyone to know that it is a monumental job, and maybe to see what thought process you have in your mind in terms of addressing this.
That's a really wonderful question, Vilma. It was interesting, everyone, when Vilma and Andy and I walked around, it was like a time warp. It was almost, we wanted to take a picture. It's like a cover of Time magazine where it's just frozen, a moment in time where people left the building for COVID. And it was so telling and sad and tragic at the same time. But Vilma's right. There is an unbelievable amount of dust, trash, old food, coffee grounds, things like printer cartridges that are probably dried out, old food, old forms we don't use anymore. And Andy and I have started talking about that. We've started saying things like, my goodness, we're going to need dumpsters. And we're going to have to come up with a schedule of when people can come back and clean out their offices. We need to be able to assist them with dumpsters or trash cans. We don't know if there's been food left in refrigerators. It may be so bad, we may actually have to replace the refrigerators. If it's gotten that bad. And in some cases, I think it probably has. Even the dry goods, believe it or not, your granola bars and such, you think, oh, they're still there. Well, guess what? We're now at the 10-month mark. That stuff is starting to go bad. So we have had an initial cursory conversation, Vilma, of what that needs to look like. I thank you for reminding me, because I think we should probably bring that to the WEC committee, is to come up with some sort of plan, some sort of schedule. And Andy and I can flush out a suggested of what could work. We can run it past you, the faculty and the staff, to see, does that sound right to you? Does that sound comfortable? If not, we'll tweak it as you wish, but we'll bring you kind of a suggested schedule if that sounds workable. Does that sound like something that would work, Vilma?
That work?
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Sorry, Alejandro, I think I wanted to unmute, but it wasn't allowing me to, so I don't necessarily have that control. But thank you, Dr. Romali. I think that is my point is that it is a monumental task, and it's a lot to carry. So yes, please include the WEC committee. Andy, you're part of that committee, and you're a full participant in that committee. We listen to you a whole lot. So if that conversation can be resuscitated, and can we be active about how to go about this? It's daunting. It's a daunting job. I mean, just walking through the campus. And so we can all sort of work together at accomplishing this, because it needs to be done. I mean, this needs to be done before we even go in, right? I mean, we're talking about returning and how do we come back and this and that, and that's great. But prior to that, this needs to be addressed, and it is a daunting job that's going to take time. So we need to start thinking about doing it now. So when we are in the orange, yellow, we're ready to go back at some capacity. So thank you. Yes, I like that idea.
Thank you.
Right. And that's why I think Dr. Romali said, Reagan said, busy, busy, busy. We're going to be very busy, like today and this whole rest of the spring, with that daunting task. It is huge. Now, I have a couple of questions that have been asked. One has to do with how are we going to keep people, it says here, when we return, how will individuals waiting for classes in the hallways be separated by 6 feet? How will we use restrooms fit in 6 feet apart? How will we use the cafeteria follow 6 feet apart? So the issue is 6 feet apart. We're going to be wearing masks. Larry mentioned Dr. Resendez and Dr. Alba Lopez, the appointment system. We have found that there may be an appointment system. There is an appointment system that you can go online and make appointments. and that way you get a specific time. With regard to classes, they will be at 25% and then 50% capacity, not 100%. So there will be distancing going on, 6 feet apart in the classroom. With regard to restrooms, they will be sanitized, but that we're also looking at the ultraviolet backup systems for the restrooms as well. And so it is a daunting task. Our local 99, our custodians are going to be literally cleaning constantly during that period of time when classes occur. We're not going to have lines to classes. There will be organization as to what time your class is, if you're early, where you can spend physically your time before you start class. So those are some of the things that we are going to work through. And that's why I want to spend all of March with shared governance committees and WIC and the students to have conversations of planning and prioritization. What does that look like for us physically, for those of us who return? Then there was a question regarding our faculty, staff, and administrators going to get vaccinated as a requirement before they come back physically. We are educators, and we are slated to be phase 1B. Right now, the vaccinations are phase 1A, 65 and older, and healthcare workers. And then recently, the state has opened up to vulnerable, those individuals with medical conditions are eligible, disabled individuals, people who have certain conditions, and they're opening it up to younger population, 16 and above. Those are some of the recent decisions. But the 1B group are teachers and educators, both at K-12 and at higher education. So I expect all of our educators, faculty, staff, and students to have their vaccinations, to be eligible by the fall. And even before then, if Dr. Fauci has predicted by April, May, we may have a good deal of more supply and systems to get people vaccinated. So he's very optimistic. So yes, the answer is I expect that to be the case. The district hasn't put out Dr. O'Malley, I don't know if the Emergency Operations Center has put out any policy yet about you must be vaccinated before you return. Maybe you can tell me about that.
No, there's been no recommendation. We don't anticipate that it will be required. Not that it wouldn't, but at this time it's not required.
Okay. Let's see if we have some more questions, Alejandro. One here.
Yeah, we have
Go ahead.
from Anna. She's asking, where can staff concerns be addressed also?
Very good. That's a really good question, Anna. Staff concerns are important. We understand we're not just talking about classrooms. We're talking about offices and how those individuals in offices are going to be physically ready. There are different models that we're looking at. And again, we need to do the planning. Not everyone has to be here 5 days a week, maybe 2 days a week, and it's staggered. Right now in our essential office staff, which is things like payroll and things that, particularly in the business office, things like being able to utilize admissions and records physically for some technology issues, or rather technology equipment that is needed. But we're doing it as a staggered right now, and we're cleaning those offices every time individuals go in. So we'll probably continue that approach at least for the near term, and then expand it as we get more and more individuals coming in, maybe 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days a week. Other questions?
We have a question from Jim Accurso. Will we plan to have on-campus student and Zoom students to allow a full class?
Well, yeah, we could use, if I understand your question, Jim, the answer is yes. We can use Zoom at what they're calling hybrid, where some students will, the students will do Zoom as part of the course and do physical arrangements as part of the course. It would be a hybrid course. And my son is doing that right now, as a matter of fact, but he teaches in Texas at a community college. And he has on Monday, he has half his class. They're all separated, 6 feet apart. They have plexiglass, and he's getting videotape, and then that's going on Zoom for the other half of the class. Then that half class goes away, and then on Wednesday the other half comes. So they're kind of doing this hybrid model. And I'm going to ask Dr. Alba Lopez, has there been any discussion with the CIOs on that?
Yes, and actually, we're in process of doing an assessment for lecture capture software so that we can retrofit some of our larger classrooms so that we can accommodate just that.
Okay, thank you for that question, Jim. Thank you. Other questions, Alejandro?
Yes, we have a question from Deborah Paulson. Will enrollment be cut to 25%, 50%, or 75%?
Well, it's not about enrollment. It's about accommodating all the students in the environment of red and yellow and orange and yellow. And so we're not going to cut enrollment. We're going to try to encourage enrollment. Now, I know there's difficulties in the arts, performing arts in particular area. And that I know concerns us all. I mean, I want that back on track completely. But we are going to encourage students to continue taking courses online, remote, or hybrid. And hopefully, if things go well, we'll be able to almost come back fully for the arts. But again, the grid lays out the arts and what is expected to happen. So I encourage us to continue to reach out to our students so they can continue their education. Very important that we don't lose them. Now, K-12, and I don't mean to jump to this, but we should remember that there is discussion right now about reopening schools, K-12, and our primary feeder schools are LA Unified. The suggestion by the CDC and by the state is we can reopen TK to sixth grade if we, because we've reached that plateau, that necessary threshold of cases that would qualify schools to open. The issue is the teachers want to get vaccinated first for LA Unified, and that makes a lot of sense because they're vulnerable, and they don't want also to infect any children. So that's really where the reopening is taking place. It's going to take time for K-12. High schools and middle schools right now can't reopen. So that's where it's at. And it does have relevance for our Child Development Center. And that's something we need to have a conversation with our child development leadership about reopening. Anything else?
Okay, let's see. Cyan Holland asked, also regarding the mask, everyone, as we know, has a different mentality towards wearing them. Are there any directives being formulated to address students who may push back on wearing masks in the classroom?
I can take that one, Dr. Perez. I see VP Romali's already responded, but Cyan, thank you for the question. But yes, once it's deemed that something is mandatory, like mask will be, if someone violates that, then it could fall under the standard of student conduct, and that would be taken up through that process. And so that comes to my office, the Vice President of Student Services. We have a designated student conduct officer, and we would address it that way.
Yes, good answer. That's the situation. Any more questions?
Yes, let's see. I got one from Yesenia Gomez. Are the child development classes going to be open?
Very good question. That's why I mentioned child development, because if there's discussion of TK to 6 opening, I'm sure the child development community is going to say we should be able to reopen. And so we're going to take that on as a district issue with all the child development directors and talk about what reopening should look like for us. You know, and again, there is this concern about vaccinations, making sure that our instructors are vaccinated would be one. Number two would be how that right now the reopening of the TK to 6 is staggered, or rather reduced numbers in a classroom, separated from each other. The issue of kids wearing masks, that's being addressed. And that it's not Monday through Friday. It's going to be maybe 2 days a week that the children will be in those settings. So that's yet to be really kind of worked on, and I want to work on it this March to kind of help develop a policy with the district on a reopening child development center instruction. Anything else?
Joel Jimenez asked, will any clubs be able to meet in person, or will it be Zoom club meetings? And my little brother is a culinary arts student. Will he be able to attend in-person class? And will other students who are studying in a different major, will any other students studying different majors?
Again, the guidance we're getting on the re-engagement is going from purple. The answer is no. It's going to be totally remote, online, the way it is now, with culinary arts in particular, also doing Zoom. When we get into red, there may be some opening there. And again, the grid lays that out in very specific terms. When you get into orange, then you go 25% capacity to 50% capacity, maybe a couple days a week, and also Zoom at the same time. So that's yet to be sort of worked on. And so I want to finish here because we got two other major issues I wanted to address. If there are more questions regarding re-engagement, please send them to me or to Alejandro, and we'll be sure to get the answers to you. So I want to end with that. But I do want to end with the fact that we are going to discuss this further. This was just to let you kind of think about it and get us ready for that planning and prioritization. I'm going to ask Alejandro if you would move forward with the poll just to take the temperature. Maybe Sarah's available to help guide us through that. We do have a poll here, and there's a way to do it, right, Alejandro? People can vote.
Yes, yeah, it's good. It should show up on the screen now. I'm just going to launch it. I don't know if Sarah wanted to share any words before we do it.
Oh, sure. We just put together some two questions just to kind of gauge everyone's feeling about if and when they feel, it's safe for a return to campus, how people would feel about actually returning to campus. So there's the two questions are a little bit different. So just, kind of read what they're saying so we can see how everyone's feeling.
Okay, and we'll leave that open for a couple minutes just while people get a chance to answer, and we'll share the results during the meeting too.
Okay, let's leave it open for a few minutes so people can vote. While we're voting, and I appreciate you doing the voting, this is just to get a sense of where we're at right now. I wanted to move forward with the budget discussion. I don't think we need to spend a great deal of time. A lot of it is going to be self-explanatory. And we'll finish up by 1 o'clock that segment, and then give us a good 30 minutes to talk about safety and security. And much of that is coming from you. I'll give you a quick report, And then I know that Deputy Davis, our lead deputy at Mission College, is part of this meeting. He wants to hear what you have to say, and he's going to. I'm glad this is being recorded, because this is going to be basis for our contribution on the procurement of agency organization to provide safety and security this year. And we may not be able to get the procurement out and done and a decision by July 1, but fortunately, my understanding is the sheriffs will be able to continue to provide coverage until we do make that decision as a district. Okay, where are we, Alejandro?
Yeah, so we're at about 83% of participants have already voted. So just a few more seconds if you still want to get your vote in, and then we're going to go ahead and end it so that we can show the results. All right, I think that's about it. No one else is really voting now.
Okay, good.
So I'll go ahead and share the results there with the.
Yes, please.
There you go. You should be able to see them now.
All right, so the first question, are you comfortable coming back to work in person as soon as the county and state restrictions are lifted? Yes, but if I've received a COVID vaccine is what, 43%? Yes, whether or not I received is 15%. No, I prefer to continue working remotely is 35%, and not sure 8%. So it's evenly it appears, yes, people are willing to come back if they have the vaccination, obviously, good. And then, but there are 35%, 1/3 of those who voted that would rather work remotely. So we will consider that as we do our planning and prioritization of our courses and our student services and our facilities, and we'll consider the poll. Second question, if you felt it was extremely safe to return work on campus, what would your personal preferred working condition be? Extremely safe is whatever it means to you, for you to feel extremely safe. And if you scroll, let's see, I can scroll it. I would prefer to work on campus full time, 19%. Would prefer a mix of on campus and remote, 51%. And I prefer to work remotely full time, 25%, and not sure, 5%. So it appears the majority would go ahead and want to come if they felt extremely safe, would either come full time or part time, meaning physically part time at an office or course, and the other part being on a remote platform. Thank you so much. This has been very, very helpful, and we're going to have more conversations, so be prepared for that. All right. I'm going to ask Reagan if she would, Dr. Romali, if you would pull up your report on budget.
Oh, sure. I think, Alejandro, do you have that one?
Yes, it should be up. Do you see it?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just be real quick. Like Dr. Perez says, the upshot is that there's been tremendous work done over the past year in terms of the Budget and Planning Committee and all the shared governance bodies, and there have been some real good strategic cuts that have been made in the budget. And we've also gotten a few pieces of good luck this year in that, of course, as you can imagine, our utility bills are a lot lower, and we did get a redistribution of about $650,000 from the district on unused IT funds. So with all that put together, the upshot is that we anticipate ending the year in a positive fund balance, which is a terrific position that we need to be in. We do need to continue upping that fund balance over the next year, so that we do not lose any revenue as of June 30th, 22. Can you believe we're already saying 2022? In terms of our expenditure structure, we are continuing to be right on target, and our spending structure instructionally is on par with some of the bigger colleges, including LA City College. So all that to say that your hard work is really starting to pay off, and we're starting to see some good things happen in the budget. And I think that's probably all for me, Dr. Perez, unless you want me to mention anything else.
No, I think I just wanted you to give the good positive news. We will have a positive fund balance in June 30th, 21, starting out the July 1 to June 30, 22 budget year. And we're going to report all this to the district next week. So we're very delighted. I think we're going to continue to make progress in making sure that our fund balance grows by the end of this year. We do have, thank goodness, we do have some cushion a bit, because we just found out that our Learning Resource Center was flooded. Flooding, some pipes broke and there was flooding, and we had to have a company come out and drain it out, but it may be expensive because the entire bottom floor of the LRC was 1 inch to 2 inches of water. So these things happen. So it's good to have a fund balance that you can help meet those emergencies. Okay. I don't know if there are any questions on budget. Alejandro? No. All right. Let's move forward.
Dr.
Go
Perez,
ahead.
there is a question. Are there any furloughs expected for LACCD, from Anna Rizovskaya?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Furloughs. I can't answer that at this point. There hasn't been a conversation with the Human Resources Division about furloughs. Now, if you're talking about it as a budget reduction effort, the answer is no. There hasn't been any consideration of that. The most important consideration of our funding and our fund balance of all 9 campuses in the district is to protect our employees. And so we want to protect our faculty, our staff, and all of our employees that are essential, that are full-time in particular, and protect them from any furloughs. So, and reduction in force, or those kind of measures. That's not in the cards right now. Okay. Can we be reimbursed for office supplies? Furniture, what is the budget? So Dr. O'Malley, I think we have been very open, and the vice president, to reimbursing people who've had to purchase certain supplies and perhaps furniture needed. Do you want to answer that?
Yes, I'm happy to. We can actually provide you the supplies. If you give us a list, we can order those supplies and mail those out to you. Also, in terms of furniture, if you tell us what you need from your office, as long as it's not, like your desk or something, we can send things like computers, laptops, chairs, display screens, printers. There's a lot that we can send to you. And all we do is we fill out a form, and we'll be happy to do that. If you contact Tara Ward Thompson, she can get you the form.
Very good. So yes, we've already covered re-engagement. I'm sorry, but more to come. There's plenty there's a handout that we have put in the chat box that you can go online and read it. It's a nice set of slides that lay it out. The other issue is a question regarding Terry Carter asked about retrofitting classrooms for new AV equipment. This is a conversation we're going to have because fortunately, we do have some one-time funding, and we're developing some budgets around that for purchases that is one-time, that would help bring back our students, that would set us up in a digitally robust platform, which would include AV equipment. that is needed. So, Terry, please hold on to that thought, and we are going to address it.
We
All
also
right.
had a question regarding the use of microphones. Are we looking at using microphones for faculty to use when lecturing so our students could hear us through masks? Any future plans on that?
Yes, indeed. This is, again, part of the conversation we're going to have with academic affairs in particular, and faculty and department chairs as we constitute the 25% classroom, the 50% classroom. The answer is microphones sound to me to be a very useful tool, and also useful for videotape when it is sent out on Zoom or some other platform. So, Nicole, what are your thoughts on microphones?
Currently, we're looking at the different types of systems that we can retrofit the classrooms, and the microphones have been part of the packages that we've been seeing, just for the lecture capture component.
Excellent. Anything else, Alejandro?
Adrian Gonzalez shared a comment. Just please keep in mind ADA compliance as well.
Absolutely. Yes. We're not going to do anything with regard to physical or online or video or anything without ADA compliance. So, Adrian, closed captioning and other tools will have to be used. Okay. And I would like to move on then to the third segment, and that is the sheriff, or rather safety security on campus. And I really want to open it up to all of you in your thoughts, and which is the idea of what kind of safety and security requirements, conditions, measures do you think make sense for Alley Mission College, given our location, given our history, given our culture? What makes sense to you as students, to you as faculty, and to you as staff? So that's my question. What kind of safety and security parameters, environment would you expect when we do return to campus, partially or fully? Please.
If folks want to speak, just please raise your hand, and then me and the co-host from the meeting will go ahead and look for you and try to unmute you so you can, if you want to ask or make a statement.
I believe Anna has a question.
Yes, I've asked her to unmute, and Vilma after that.
I have a statement. I would prefer to keep sheriffs or a PD system versus a security company. Working in retail, I've come across those regular security companies, and they're not so much trained. So to feel safer, I would prefer to have official police officers or sheriffs on campus, especially with the growing homelessness. Like areas I've never seen homeless people this year are there, and they're kind of wild. And my boyfriend almost got attacked by a homeless person recently. So I just think we need a more professional system.
Thank you. I think Vilma had her hand up.
Yes, I had a conversation about this a few months ago with faculty, and one of the themes that kept coming back is the sworn officers, that are vetted, that go through the process, was important to faculty, and yet at the same time, this community approach was something that came up a lot. It's being part of the community, is being engaged with the students, is reaching out, rather than being that intimidated individual, the one that, we're afraid of you. But it's again, it's that community approach, right? That these officers are vested in the college, right? They're vested with our staff, vested with our employees, and vested with the students. And the more they're vested in, then the more loving and caring they're going to come across. But at the same time, they got to do a job as well of safety and security. And I maybe that's a little, it's hard to do that, right? But it's not. I think I'm just letting you know what I heard from faculty, and just to keep in mind about the new way of safety and security.
Okay, so let's see. We had Diane Stein next.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Dr. Perez, you know that us being on that little corner on the outskirts of the college, we look for the sheriffs as a sense of security, starting our days at 7 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes of the year, 7 o'clock in the morning is dark and 6 o'clock at night is dark. And we have our staff and students who go onto the Child and Family Studies area in the back lot. And that sense of security that that sheriffs will be walking around and roaming is really important to us. And with the few break-ins that we've had and the things that have been taken from the CDC, I think it does help, and it's a deterrent. And I feel like the sheriffs that we have on our campus, they are friendly and outgoing and go and talk to people on our campus, which then changes that whole dynamic of that insecurity and being afraid of someone with authority. And so I think it's really vitally important for us to keep that presence on our campus.
Thank you. Thank you.
I agree 100%. I think the Sheriff's Department is a wonderful presence in the world that we live in. Things aren't always as pleasant as we would like them to be. And I agree. Very often I was on campus at 6:45, and I love to see the sheriffs walking on campus and opening the doors and saying good morning. And I think it's a good thing to have the presence of the sheriffs on our campus. It makes me feel more secure. And every time I would see these gentlemen and these ladies, I'd say, thank you. I appreciate that you're walking around. It makes me feel better. And I just can't say enough good things about them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from Yesenia Gomez.
Hello, another question. When they open a mission college, are we gonna get notified by email?
Yes, you will, as you enroll in classes, you will be told when and where and how many weeks and so forth. So yes, you will be notified by email in particular.
Okay.
Thank you,
John
Zane.
Morales.
Yeah, hello everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for answering. Regarding the sheriffs, I think it's important to remember that they're there for preventative more than anything else, I think. So given the gang violence that happens and occurs around Pacoima, Marlita, Silmar, San Fernando, I think it's important to have these sheriffs there patrolling the way they've been doing, because it keeps us all safe in the end, and it's more preventative than anything else. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Okay, there are some comments in the chat that are important, I think, to also think about. And one is from Marion Levy, which is to encourage community-based and understand how to de-escalate incidents, as the sheriffs usually do. Our campus sheriffs have been fabulous. So that's good to know, because, the popular, or rather sort of national mood going on with law enforcement has been about, de-escalation, community policing. And but our experience, based on what Marion Levy is saying, and my experience in particular has been our sheriffs do that. They know how to de-escalate. They do know how to be part of the community. And so I'm very appreciative of that. Other questions, comments? I think Jim has his hand up, Alejandro.
Okay, I'm going to look for him. If anyone else can find him first, please unmute him.
Yeah, my question was this: what's happening with the whole security issue anyway? Why is the sheriff's even? Is it just that the contract time is up, or what's happening? Why are we considering replacing them with someone else?
Well, the contract was up December 30 of 2020 or December 31st. There was negotiation going on since August of 2020 with the sheriff on the renewal of the contract. That negotiation took two forms. One was programmatic policy and conditions, and the other negotiation of that was the financial aspect of it. So the programmatic aspect of it looked pretty good, very well done, because it did include sorry, I had some interruption. It did include the aspects of de-escalation, community policing, more local control, or rather local advice about what kind of policing we wanted. So that aspect was pretty good. The part that became problematic had to do with the financial commitment, and that's where it kind of fell apart. And when I say fell apart, the board, our board of trustees, decided not to go with the price tag that the sheriffs had. But by the time all that was said and done, it was December 31st. So we kept the sheriffs for another 6 months with the negotiated personnel complement. And then the board wanted to put out a new contract, which the sheriffs can apply for the next, 5 years of safety and security. So that's what happened, Jim. It was sort of one of those things where you negotiate contracts, and sometimes contract discussions they fall apart for whatever reasons. But now we're in a process of they're continuing with us. The sheriffs are continuing with us to provide us safety and security, and a new contract will be let, and that contract then will be a competitive bid, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, we have a question from Kelly Enos.
Hi, good afternoon. One thing I'd like to bring up that I don't think has been brought up before is that with the Sheriff's Department, they collaborate, share information with other law enforcement agencies. If we look at just our area around Mission College, we're surrounded by the city of LA, which is patrolled by LAPD. And to kind of forestall any or prevent problems from spilling onto the campus, I know that the Sheriff's Department shares intelligence information with surrounding agencies. LAPD is just one of them. Other agencies are probation and parole. And so those discussions go on behind closed doors to let the Sheriff's Department know on campus, hey, this person just got paroled. They might be coming to your campus, maybe keep a close eye on them. Those things we don't see when we're working on campus, but I know those things are being done behind the scenes. If we were to go with a private company, that type of information sharing is not going to occur. And I would welcome Deputy Davis to kind of expound on that a little bit. But that's another thing that we have to take in consideration. Yes, it does cost more money to have the Sheriff's Department's contract, but we get more for that. And some of these things we can see as far as services delivered. Some things happen behind the scenes that we don't see that are also beneficial to our safety and safety of the campus.
Deputy Davis, would you like to expound on that?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Perez and everybody else in the Zoom meeting. First of all, my name is Deputy Lee Davis. I am fairly new to Mission College as the lead supervisor of the campus and the station, but I've been in the college district in the Bureau since 2003. So I'm very familiar with some of the topics and the concerns that you all have expressed thus far. In regards to sharing information, the reason why we share information with other agencies and vice versa is because we try to be proactive to help prevent anything to occur onto the campus. And our responsibility is the perimeter of the campus itself for the faculty, staff, and students. So in order for us to be proactive, we have to get ahead of things sometimes in order to prevent things. So it's very much correct that when we share information with other law enforcement agencies, we are able to get information and access certain things that the average person wouldn't be able to obtain. And say, for instance, burglaries in the neighborhood, any murders or sex offenders that may be in the near area. So we have a child development center, which is very important to the campus and to everyone in all actuality. So those things are very important that we share, and we find out that a regular security company just won't be able to give you. And I'm not knocking a regular security company because I was once a security guard myself, but in the instance of college safety and campus safety, the immediacy of having a person like myself, and which is a member of the sheriff's department, you're going to have that immediacy without question.
Very good. Very good, Deputy Davis. Thank you. I know that I see that a couple of comments in the chat box, and I know that there has been nationwide concern about improper conduct of law enforcement, and I'll put it that way. It has taken on a life of its own in terms of how we need to look at policing and so forth. And there are several, and I don't know, I'll use the word many, but several faculty and some staff in LACC district who joined that effort, that want to change policing for the better in terms of more support, mental health, and de-escalation, and weed out any bad actors that may cause harm to the citizens. And I understand that. So as we move forward with a procurement, much of what we did in the last contract, and I was involved with that language on the programmatic and not so much on the financial side, but some was about that. And the sheriff were open to several of our suggestions regarding the kind of culture we have on our campuses, the support we need, the type of policing we wanted, the de-escalation, the community support, all of that. They were open to all that. They were willing to do that. Mental health services, they were open to that. And so I feel confident that will be part of the contract again in terms of this new procurement. So those are all really important comments you're making. Any more questions or comments?
Yes, we have Sheila McDowell.
Yes,
Hi,
Sheila.
everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome, Deputy Lee. It was good to hear from you. I mean, it looks like you have overwhelming support from most folks in our campus, and the sheriff's office are doing a great job and even saving somebody's life at one point. My question is just to follow up with what Dr. Perez is saying. What can you do, or how can you reassure those folks that are afraid of the police or are afraid of the sheriffs, you know, are afraid of racial profiling or some of these other issues. How can you be more proactive in reassuring those folks that you're the best solution for the campus?
Deputy Davis, would you like to respond?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your question, ma'am, and your concerns. Number one of the things that came up was in regards to the initial perception and what you see when you come on a campus as it relates to the sheriff is the type of uniform that we wear. And it was once said that it was too military looking. So in order to augment that, what our sheriff, being away with, said, hey, it's okay if we propose this polo shirt and a more softer look. Number one, that's just for the initial perception. It doesn't look as aggressive and intimidating, number one. As far as Mission College, and I can only speak for Mission College because this is where I work, and the staff in my station, not one of them goes out and treats people without respect. And that is what I preach because that is what I was raised up on. So I instill what I have been raised upon and the things that I've learned as being a deputy sheriff throughout the years, working in the streets and those sorts of things. I understand being a person from the neighborhood. I understand that initially you need that ounce of respect that people simply ask for. If you give that respect, you'll get that back. So I instill that. I can reassure you and everyone, I can reassure you that everybody in my station will deal with and has been dealing with people with the utmost respect first. Then we can address other issues. They speak and faculty and staff and students speak back. And it's a total different environment here to where we want to be a part of the campus community and not it be us against them type of mindset. And once that mindset is changed and everybody that comes to work in this station sees that, everybody has to follow suit because I won't tolerate that, number one. And if you can't be that type of officer or deputy, then it's probably not the place for you to work. It's just that simple. And everybody that is assigned here, they volunteered to be here. Nobody is forced to be here. Everybody that has taken this assignment on as a responsibility in their careers, they did that on their own and they want to be here. So in order for you to be here, these are some of the things that you have to do. And this is the type of policing that is necessary for a college campus community. And we're glad to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Deputy Davis. Appreciate that. Important comment, important question. Let's see, we have another question, Alejandro?
Yes, Michael Griggs.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say that I think the best way that we can be a safe, united campus is to be our own police and to look out for one another. So when we do go back on campus, I think we should take ownership of our campus and be more vigilant and not leave it up to whatever form of security that we choose, that it 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 should be a collective effort, because as someone that's been on mission for 12 years almost, I can honestly say that mission is my home, and I will ensure that my home is safe with with every with everything that I have. So I think no matter what form of security we have, the the best the best line of defense, or however you want them worded, is that sense of community that I think needs to be more present now more than ever. So as long as we remember that we are all in this together, I have no doubt that our campus will continue to soar above the rest. Thank you, Officer Lee. Thank all of you for being so wonderful, and thank you all for listening to me. And I miss you guys.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. We are a community, and our sheriffs has been part of that community over the years. So appreciate that, Michael. We miss you too. The other is just to add to Deputy Davis's comment. Our security officers, our cadets, they're pretty good. They're trained well, and they're also respectful. And Deputy Davis makes sure that our security officers, our cadets, are the same. Okay, any other questions, Alejandro?
Yeah, let's see. Marion Murray was raising her hand.
Yes, Marion.
Okay, I just want to compliment the sheriff's department, because I don't know if you guys know, but they work very good with our department. They have outside counselors that deal with mental health, the homeless situation. They even let us know about the student before we have any issues with the student. They sit in our committees. So if you guys are thinking about hiring another just regular security office, who's gonna be that person that has been working so well with our department? And they're the ones that go to the homes of these students, and they work well between us, the students, and the school, and wherever they need to go. So please keep that in mind, that who will be that person that takes the place in the sheriff's office or whichever security you guys are gonna bring in. And I wanna thank the sheriffs very, very much, because they've always been pleasant, they've always been good with me, and I believe with the campus. So that's what I wanna say.
Thank you, Marion. Appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir.
Any more questions or comments? We're winding down here. We got 5 minutes.
I don't see any hands, but I know Anna had one more question, so I'm just trying to
Anna,
locate her
please.
so I could see.
Okay, I just wanted to add that since we are an educational institution, I believe the sheriff department left, to save money. It would also be a disservice to the cadet program, which allows students or past students or current students to, figure out a career, and this is a perfect opportunity for them. So we just have to think about that too.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate that, Anna. And our cadets have been really well trained, and they see what it is like to be in the Community College Bureau. And that's good because they're going to be future law enforcement officers and men and women in uniform. So it's important. Well, I want to wind down. First of all, I'm glad we had this town hall. Sorry it was so long, but we dealt with some very substantive issues, the re-engagement planning process, the budget, and now the safety and security. It has been recorded. I'll be reporting this to the district, and your feelings, your suggestions, your thoughts across the board so that procurement can be well designed for the future. Now, with regard to the re-engagement grid, I will be asking the vice presidents in particular, as well as our campus leadership in shared governance, our faculty leadership in shared governance. We are going to pursue an agenda where we can talk about more detail around the re-engagement planning and prioritization that will need to take place as we move forward for hopefully summer, but for sure in the fall of 21. So if there are no further questions, it's so good to see you all. Michael, thank you for your eloquent, we are a community and we are a family. So we'll take care of our family. All right, you all have a great day and enjoy.